approached, raised his hand in greeting, and said with a smile, "Isn't this Langleet? What brings you to the palace today?" Langleet, a bit startled to see him, quickly bowed and respectfully replied, "Greetings to the sixth prince. I've been honored by the emperor's order to enter the palace as the second prince's mentor." Medicine Lang smiled and said, "I see. The journey must have been hard. If you don't mind, you can stay at my estate for a few days." Langleet, hearing this offer, smiled awkwardly and politely declined. "I'm honored by the sixth prince's offer, but I fear it would be inappropriate to suddenly stay at your estate." Medicine Lang awkwardly scratched his head, thinking, "True, after all, no one really values my status or position." As if reading his thoughts, Langleet smiled and explained, "Please don't misunderstand, sixth prince. It's just that I must soon accompany the second prince to the underworld palace for a trial, so I dare not delay." Upon hearing this, Medicine Lang was startled. The underworld palace. Recalling the original story, he stroked his chin and thought seriously, "That's right. How could I have forgotten this important event?" Meanwhile, in the bedroom, Qilin was sitting on the bed, focused on practicing a cultivation technique. The fox spirit from her ring circled around her, saying, "I'll now pass on to you the Ling Fox Heart Sutra. How much you can master it depends on your comprehension skills." She frowned in discomfort, recalling the past, thinking, "That year when I comprehended the final chapter of this Heart Sutra, I had reached the peak of mastery. If it weren't for that man causing me to lose control and lose all my power, how could I have fallen to this state?" The fox spirit coldly looked at Qilin, whose face was flushed. The key to this Heart Sutra turned out to be dual cultivation. She placed her hand near Qilin's abdomen. Qilin immediately reacted, jolting in surprise, which astonished the fox spirit. "What is this? It's coming out." The fox spirit looked pensively at Qilin and said, "It seems it's still not enough." Qilin lay on the bed, her face flushed, panting. The fox spirit gazed at her darkly and said, "Next, I will show you the true pleasures of this world." With that, she slowly moved her hand across Qilin's sensitive points, causing her to shudder and struggle to say, "Don't touch there." The fox spirit seemed to think of something, leaned down with a calculating smirk and said, "Let me borrow your body for a bit." Not long after, Macdoc Lang finally returned home. Walking along the long road, he thought, "What should I take my wife to eat later?" Smiling, he entered the room, laughing, "Wife, I'm here." As soon as he entered, he sensed an extremely strange atmosphere. Qilin stood at a distance, wearing only a thin layer of fabric, waiting for him. Hearing his voice, Qilin turned, smiling seductively, "Husband, you're finally home." Seeing this, Macdoc Lang's face darkened, and he broke out in a cold sweat. Something was wrong. Without saying anything, Qilin grabbed him, pushed him onto the bed, carefully leaned down to kiss his ear. Macdoc Lang, surprised but slightly uncomfortable, said, "Wife." With just a small gesture, his entire body was in pain. A purple aura began to dissipate from him, as if the negative energy was being drawn out. Qilin felt the influx of this energy into her body, reaching a state of pleasure as she arched and moaned, but suddenly thought, just like that, the power has flowed in. Macdoc Lang calmly sat up and coldly asked, "You're not my wife, are you?" "You're the fox spirit from the ring." Hearing this, the fox spirit smirked, sitting in his lap, stroking his hair, saying, "You're quite clever. I'm borrowing your wife's body to draw out your strength to its limit. Isn't that in your wife's best interest?" She leaned down seductively and said, "Why hesitate? Just give in." The next day, Qilin was enthusiastically and gracefully practicing swordsmanship in the courtyard. Watching her in the courtyard, he inwardly praised, "Swift as a startled bird, graceful like a swimming dragon. It seems my wife's sword skills have improved greatly. But last night, she probably has no recollection. Fortunately, I knocked her out afterward. If I had gone along with the fox spirit, I would have been drained dry. I need to find a way to get her out of my wife's body." Macdoc Lang crossed his arms and complimented, "Dong Mi, it seems you've taught my wife well." "Not bad." Hearing his praise, Dong Mi joyfully replied, "Master flatters me. I just did my best. It's her natural talent that made her so quick to learn." He seriously opened the system and looked at the new item, a cultivation boost card, which could sustain the 5th level of the golden core for 30 seconds, with a half-day cooldown. Staring at the screen, he thought about the immense power he felt last time. He was nearly at the peak of the nascent soul stage. Macdoc Lang absent-mindedly stroked his hair, thinking, "In 5 days, the Underworld Earth Palace will open." The Underworld Earth Palace is where the demon race is sealed, guarded by the Qingyu Lingyun sect. The Underworld Earth Palace opens every 24 years, allowing outsiders to enter for 7 days. The abundant spiritual energy makes it ideal for cultivation, but the deeper one goes, the more powerful the demonic beasts become. It's said that the Underworld Earth Palace has 3 levels. Anyone who reaches the deepest level will be able to receive the supreme divine art inheritance from the Qingyu Lingyun sect's founder, but in nearly 400 years, no one has succeeded in entering. Macdoc Lang pondered the original story, remembering that it was here where Langleet acquired his golden opportunity, and only Qilin. At this point, he stopped thinking, smiled, and called out to Qilin, "Wife, pack your things. It's time to go." Looking at her, he resolved, "But with me here, history will change." In the Empress's palace, Missouri Dungmin Noyet sat on her chair, drinking tea and thinking. She frowned. That Van Dao must have been drugged with some kind of mind control potion to have failed like that. It seems Chibok is being protected by a noble artifact, but she and MacDoc Lang are of no consequence. It's just a pity I've lost a pawn. I've had Lang Li personally assist the second prince. When he returns from the Underworld Earth Palace, securing the prince's position will be a certainty. Thinking of this, she smirked confidently. 5 days later, at the entrance to the Underworld Earth Palace, MacDoc Lang's group had arrived before the gate, and he looked in awe. So this is the Underworld Earth Palace? He frowned seriously at it, thinking, this 7-day cultivation opportunity is a once-in-a-lifetime chance. I must make the most of it. As soon as the two gate elders saw MacDoc Lang's group, they commented, are these two women descendants of the demon clan? The ominous aura around them sends chills down one's spine. When did these insignificant nobles dare to step so boldly into this place? Hearing this, Chilin's face immediately darkened. MacDoc Lang sensed his lioness wife's killing intent and worriedly looked at her. These novel clichés seemed to be coming true right before his eyes. Chen Tian appeared with an imposing demeanor, firmly taking Chilin's hand and said, Elders, this is the wife and retinue of MacDoc Lang. If you speak like this again, don't blame me. Mac Nian thought with utter disdain. Just the son of a disgraced concubine, rumored to be a born cripple unable to cultivate. What's there to boast about? After a brief moment of thought, he quickly responded to Chen Tian. Standing beside him was Mac Nian's attendant. My apologies. I didn't realize it was the sixth prince and his consort. But this Underworld Earth Palace is extremely dangerous. Coming here without any guards, isn't that too risky? Chen Tian confidently replied, The elders needn't worry, my wife will protect me. With that, he took Xilin's hand and led her deeper into the palace, boldly proclaiming, There are many people here already? Looks like no one wants to miss this once in 20 years cultivation opportunity. The soldiers appeared in their striking armor, holding spears, fiercely eyeing Chen Tian. As Chen Tian entered the inner palace, he saw a sign reading Immortal Water, cultivate like a deity. Just 20 taels of gold per bottle. A crowd had gathered around the stall, and the vendor was smiling brightly. He exclaimed, 20 taels per bottle? That's daylight robbery. Have they no shame in exploiting people like this? He showed concern on his face and whispered to Qilin, There are too many people here. The weak spiritual energy won't satisfy my current cultivation level. Let's go deeper. As soon as he finished, Qilin tightened her grip on Chen Tian's hand. He frantically shouted after her, Wife, slow down. In the palace, a group of soldiers blocked Langleet and his wife, T. Noyet. Langleet, looking regal, conversed with Mac Nok, the second prince. This place is rich in spiritual energy and free from disturbances, perfect for the prince's current cultivation. If there are no special arrangements, I'd like to go deeper. Mac Nok responded kindly, Go ahead, but be careful, the terrain is complex. He and his wife bowed in gratitude for the prince's permission. Deeper within the first level of the Underworld Earth Palace, Chen Tian, looking bored, leaned against a rock while Sojong watched Qilin perform an intricate spell. Chen Tian yawned and said, Although we came here to prevent my wife from turning dark, it seems like there's nothing for me to do for now. This world is quite real, but there's no entertainment at all. Just then, a young man in white, playing a game, suddenly appeared in front of him and exclaimed, Damn, I missed again. For my goddess wife, charge up another 648. Chen Tian looked at the scene with resignation, thinking how hard it was to escape work, yet now even his favorite game was out of reach. What a shame. Chen Tian then turned to Qilin and said, You can rest assured and cultivate here. I will wander around and check things out. Chen Tian thought to himself, but just at the right moment, there was an opportunity to witness a good show. He appeared to complete a side quest, insult Sojong's brother in front of him 0 to 1 in the quest reward, a large quantity of long tin ho mandan. Immediately afterward, he grabbed Sojong's hand and pulled her deeper into the palace. Sojong hurriedly asked, Brother, are we going even deeper? Chen Tian quickly replied, Of course. The girl became increasingly uneasy, raising her voice to ask him, But why aren't we going with the second prince? Wouldn't it be safer to go with them? Seeing Sojong looking worried, Chen Tian reassured her, The second prince is too cautious. This time, he brought along so many guards, he's sure not to venture deep inside. Seizing the moment, he continued persuading her, Don't you want to go deeper, where there is more spiritual energy, and quickly increase your cultivation? Hearing this, Sojong felt somewhat reassured and softly replied, All right then. However, at that very moment, a figure suddenly flashed in front of the two of them. Both were utterly shocked and screamed loudly to calm themselves. Suddenly, a man appeared with a challenging look on his face. It was Doc Lang. He loudly declared, Well, well, what a small world. I didn't expect to meet again so soon. Continuing his mocking tone, he raised his voice, Oh, isn't this the sixth prince? Why aren't your fox demon and noble wife with you? With your non-cultivable constitution, this place is very dangerous for you. Chen Tian, unwilling to back down, immediately retorted, Who said I can't cultivate? With a smug look, Doc Lang continued speaking. It was time for him to show up, and fortunately, he knew the plot from the original story and had already mastered this place like the back of his hand. He continued mocking Chen Tian while thinking, From the first floor to the second in this dark underworld palace, there are 3 paths in total. Two of them will lead to encounters with monsters, while the other is dark, narrow, and barely known to anyone but lacks monsters. These two brothers are asking for death, deliberately choosing the path with monsters. In the midst of this tense situation, suddenly, the distant roars of some kind of creature echoed, howling. The girl shrieked in shock. What was that sound? Out of nowhere, an extremely ferocious beast appeared, surrounded by radiant light that terrified everyone who looked at it. Shan Tian, equally frightened, blurted out, "It's a demon beast. It's so strong." He analyzed further. Judging by the demonic aura it's emitting, its strength is at least at the Tandong stage. Saying this, he grabbed the girl's hand and tried to escape. While running, he urged, "Little sister, we can't beat this demon beast. Hurry, let's get out of here." In that instant, Doc Lang continued mocking Shan Tian. "I didn't expect the revered disciple of the Imperial Chancellor to be unable to handle a single demon beast like this." Unable to bear the humiliation, Shan Tian retorted, "What are you showing off for? If you're so capable, go deal with the demon beast yourself." The girl also challenged him. "That's right, Doc Mac Lang, I'm telling you now, you're done for today." The demon beast grew even stronger, stretching its body as if ready to devour Doc Lang whole. Its mouth opened wide, and its eyes glowed with purple light, yet Doc Lang stood firm, unafraid. With a face full of confidence, he said, "A demon beast of this rank doesn't even deserve my full power. Reaching the Kim Dan stage first should be enough." Right after that, with his magical powers, Doc Lang became immensely powerful, preparing to battle the demon beast. After being struck by Doc Lang's attack, the demon beast weakened further, letting out pitiful cries as it gradually lost its strength. Doc Lang still stood majestically, his invincible magic surrounding him, while flashes of light around him made the scene even more mystical. Shan Tian and So Duong, utterly shocked by what they had just witnessed, exclaimed, "What?" Then Doc Lang, with determined eyes and unwavering confidence, responded to the two, "I'm not completing the task for the Long Ho Mandan. I just wanted to humiliate them." Both were stunned by Doc Lang's absolute power, thinking to themselves, who would have thought he's not faking it? Though not entirely convinced by Doc Lang's brilliance, Shan Tian still grudgingly admitted, "I never expected someone like you to actually be able to cultivate. Truly a rarity." Still indifferent, fearless, and unbothered, Doc Lang continued, "Oh, I forgot to tell you, that demon beast from earlier isn't the only one here." Then he pointed his thumb to the left, where several more demon beasts appeared, roaring ferociously. He remained terrifyingly calm despite facing multiple demon beasts. The commotion from the earlier fight must have alerted the nearby beasts, likely drawing them here soon. Both So Duong and Shan Tian were stunned upon hearing Doc Lang's words, shouting in panic, "How can this be?" And yet, Doc Lang continued to hum a tune as if completely unfazed by the terrifying beasts surrounding him. Shan Tian then leaned close to So Duong's ear and whispered, "Sister, didn't you have an engagement with this kid before?" He continued feeding sweet words to So Duong. "I remember he used to always show admiration for you, didn't he?" Then he schemed to have So Duong win over Doc Lang. "You should draw him in, have him deal with these demon beasts for us. Once we escape and reunite with the second prince, we can tell the Imperial Chancellor, and humiliate him thoroughly." She then thought to herself, "This Doc Lang did indeed fancy me since childhood, but I always looked down on his status." Growing smug, she continued her fantasy. "Even though he's married now, as long as I show him a little favor, he will surely still obediently submit to me." After mulling it over, she replied to Shan Tian, "Leave it to me." Then, with full calculation, So Duong stood in front of Doc Lang and addressed him by the intimate nickname, Luke Hong Tu. Her eyes gradually became enchanting, as if hypnotizing him. She couldn't believe the sixth prince had hidden his cultivation so well, nor that he was so powerful. At that moment, Doc Lang responded with a scornful expression to her sweet words. "I preferred your arrogant demeanor earlier." Growing bolder, she continued to flatter Doc Lang. "You and I were engaged since childhood. Even though we aren't husband and wife now, the sixth prince should still help us siblings through this difficult time out of old affection." He straightforwardly rejected her advances. "Oh, but I remember you didn't say that before. Who was it that called me a useless prince?" Despite being rebuffed by Doc Lang, So Duong persisted, trying to win him over. That was the angry words of a young girl when she learned the sixth prince had married. "Please don't hold it against me." After hearing this, Doc Lang sneered and defiantly replied, "Enough, So Shan Tian." He continued with harsh words, "Let me tell you, I've long severed any ties with you. From now on, we have nothing to do with each other." No longer able to maintain her gentle facade, she snapped back at Doc Lang. "You really think you're all that?" She continued threatening, "I warn you, don't take me for granted." As soon as she finished speaking, several absolutely powerful demon beasts suddenly appeared in front of the three, terrifying both Shan Tian and So Duong, while Doc Lang remained unshaken. The two of them were visibly pale, trembling in fear. With a challenging demeanor, he warned them both, "I think you better focus on your own safety." Not stopping there, Doc Lang continued, "Oh right, I forgot to mention, the demon beasts here are all males." The beasts grew increasingly frenzied after Doc Lang's warning, preparing to attack their prey. He also casually informed the two that these creatures had a penchant for biting off the genitals of men to enhance their demonic energy. "You're in luck." Upon hearing this, Shan Tian immediately collapsed onto the ground, clutching his lower body, shouting at Doc Lang, What did you say?" Doc Lang, full of mockery, turned back to Soa's men and said, "Good luck to you both. I have matters to attend to, so I'll be off." He thought to himself, my newly elevated cultivation level is still intact. These demon beasts wouldn't dare approach me anyway. Heh, after showing off, it's time to slip away. At this point, So-dong screamed for help. "Sixth Prince, save me." Her desperate cries echoed, "Save me, no." Chantian, with a scream no less intense, yelled as he was about to be attacked by the demon beasts. Ay. Doc Lang stood there, as gallant as ever, after putting those two in their place, just as the system notification sounded, reminding him, "Congratulations, host, for completing the quest. You have received the quest reward, 100 Long Tin Homan Dan pills. System quest. Activate the emergency mission to save Mo Dung Hoa from being surrounded and attacked by demon beasts. Upon completion, the reward will be a cultivation body card that allows the host to inherit the highest cultivation level from the card without any cooldown time." After hearing the announcement, Doc Lang's face became pensive. Ho Dung Hoa, why does she want to risk her life cultivating like my wife? Then he thought of Dung Hoa's demeanor. Could it be that all women of this era strive like this? Suddenly, his eyes lit up as he thought, physique and cultivation level, aren't these the things I've always wanted? Lin was meditating, surrounded by dazzling lights of some miraculous magic, with Dong Mi beside her. The demon clan stood next to her, leaned in, and whispered in her ear, "Young one, your progress is fast." Then, it requested her, "Since you're entering the underworld palace, could you grab a magical artifact for me from the second level?" Lin hesitantly replied, "The second level?" Just then, a male figure appeared, calling Lin with great affection, "Wife." Hearing the familiar call, she turned and saw it was Doc Lang. She happily replied, "You've returned, just in time. The spiritual energy here no longer satisfies me. Let's head to the second level, to a deeper place." Doc Lang rejoiced silently and thought, "Great, I was worried about explaining how I saved Mo Dung Hoa to my wife, and now this gives me a good excuse." He approached her and convinced her to follow his plan. "Alright, I know a path that will definitely take us to the second level. Let's go." Lin, Doc Lang, and Dong Mi all ventured deeper into the palace. Suddenly, Lin felt uneasy, and a thought flashed through her mind. Why is he so familiar with the terrain here? Dung Hoa was there, battling ferocious, powerful beasts. Though she only had one sword in her hand, her expression became more determined than ever. No surrender, no fear before the beasts. Lin saw this scene and thought to herself, "Isn't she the Mo Dung Hoa who dueled me before?" At this moment, Dung Hoa exerted all her strength, rising to fight the beasts, gradually weakening and defeating them. The three of them stood behind a rock and witnessed the entire process, prompting Lin to exclaim, "Isn't she the one who used painting to duel me before?" Although she had defeated many beasts, the roars of the remaining ones still echoed, causing Dung Hoa to panic. How strange, why are there so many beasts gathered here? The beasts seemed to evolve and gain more power, becoming frenzied and out of control. Suddenly, another beast appeared with an equally powerful energy, as if it wanted to devour them all. Dung Hoa became tiny before those mighty monsters. She felt panicked as she faced them, realizing that the beasts could even revive. Witnessing this terrifying scene, Lin also exclaimed, "It's the demonic crown, the source of all this." At that moment, Dung Hoa was straining to fight the extremely fierce beasts. Indeed, they were too strong and huge. Behind her, Lin also felt anxious. If they didn't destroy them soon, they would be overwhelmed by the countless beasts. A tomb surrounded by green lights was watching the intense battle unfold. The beasts grew even more savage, attacking Dung Hoa, injuring her, and sending her flying far away. Doc Lang rushed in to rescue her by using his magic card, appearing to shield her from danger. Thanks to his magic, he was able to defeat the fearsome beasts. He caught Dung Hoa just as the beasts were dying by his hand. Dung Hoa felt overjoyed and surprised to fall into Doc Lang's arms. She quickly exclaimed, "Sixth Prince." Dung Hoa turned around and saw Lin and Dong Mi, asking in haste, "Why are you here?" At this moment, Lin's eyes were burning red. She was angrier than ever at the sight. Doc Lang quickly pushed Dung Hoa away when he saw Lin standing opposite, in a fiery state. Immediately after, Doc Lang cheerfully spoke to Dung Hoa, "My wife's corruption level has risen again. I must quickly explain things." He then explained to Dung Hoa, "We were heading to the second level of this palace, and this is the required path to get there." After hearing Doc Lang's explanation, she gratefully thanked him. "So that's it." "Thank you, Sixth Prince, for saving me." Doc Lang responded gladly, "It was nothing." At that moment, a system notification for a task sounded. The system announced, "Congratulations, host, for completing the emergency task, 1/2. The next task is to help Lin, Dong Mi, and Mo Dung Hoa advance by at least 3 levels. Then comes the reward after completing the task. Task reward, cultivation physique card, allowing the host to acquire a physique that can cultivate and inherit the highest cultivation from the advancement card, with no cooldown time. After hearing the system's notification, Doc Lang angrily muttered, "Damn it. I knew this task wouldn't be that simple, and it's even harder now." At that moment, before Doc Lang, Lin, Dung Hoa, and Dong Mi, extremely vicious beasts appeared, as if they wanted to devour them. Everyone was shocked and panicked by these strange creatures. Dung Hoa's expression changed. She kept asking herself, what is going on? Ever since a moment ago, these beasts just keep coming without end. From afar, Qilin looked towards a hollow, where a strange creature emitted a blinding light. She declared, I just used spiritual sight to observe. It's the demonic crown. Qilin confidently assessed the situation. These beasts can revive because of that artifact. If we destroy it, the beasts probably won't be able to come back. Doc Lang, standing beside Qilin, curiously asked, wait, infinite revival? He thought to himself, in this abundant spiritual energy environment, they make good training targets full of vitality. Continuing that train of thought, he recalled, surely our cultivation will advance extremely quickly. Then he confidently announced to everyone, just treat these beasts as endless training targets. When your stamina runs out, take one of these pills. He gave instructions but reserved 10 pills for himself. This should be enough to complete the task. After hearing Doc Lang's words, all three turned around in surprise. Is this really the rapid cultivation method you spoke of? Though reluctant, Qilin, Deng Hoa, and Dong Mi had no choice but to place their trust in Doc Lang, temporarily believing in him this time. Then Dong Mi rushed forward to attack the beast with her magic, causing it to scream in pain. The beast became pitiful under Dong Mi's hands. The beasts were torn to pieces by the intense attacks from the three women. One by one, the beasts met their end, falling tragically due to the superpowered magic of the three women. After finishing off the beasts, Qilin turned to Dong Mi and asked, do you have any more pills, Dong Mi? She promptly replied, they're all gone. Doc Lang casually laid on some rocks and said to Qilin, alright, wife, destroy that demonic crown. Then, using her magic, Qilin destroyed the demonic crown, slicing it in two. The beasts were annihilated, vanishing before the eyes of all four of them. Mo Deng Ho advanced to the 5th level of the Celestial Realm, 3rd tier of the Heart-Moving Phase. Dong Mi advanced to the 1st tier of the Golden Core Stage, 4th tier of the Golden Core Stage. Qilin advanced to the 2nd tier of the Heart-Moving Phase, 1st tier of the Golden Core Stage. Qilin, full of confidence, boldly declared, I've directly advanced 3 realms and even broken through. Doc Lang smiled back at her. Alright, it seems this cultivation advancement method works well. Dong Mi expressed her desire to continue the journey with him. 6th Prince, can I go with you on the next leg of the journey? Doc Lang, with clear embarrassment on his face, replied to Dong Mi, ask my wife. Based on her personality, she's sure to send you away, haha. After hearing the conversation between the two, Qilin boldly said, I am not afraid. This surprised the young man so much that he blurted out, huh? Doc Lang silently thought to himself after hearing the conversation, never mind. Let's just consider it as having another helping hand. He then suggested that everyone take a break after fighting hard. Now that the demonic beasts had been dealt with, everyone must be tired. He found a place, a hidden paradise, economically suitable for the night, and told everyone, let's rest here for the night. Tomorrow, we'll head to the 2nd level. Qilin, full of suspicion, questioned him. So many treasures, where exactly did you get them from? He responded with a smug look and a hearty laugh. Ha ha ha, they were all gifts from my father, the emperor. Deng Hoa, standing next to Doc Lang, gently expressed her wish to become a concubine. 6th Prince, about taking me as your concubine, I hope you'll consider it. At this moment, Doc Lang was filled with annoyance, wanting to dismiss Deng Hoa. Help, just how obsessed with my body are you? Right then, a system notification chimed. Congratulations, host, for completing urgent mission February 2nd. You have received cultivation body and rank. As he sat down casually, another notification rang out, now advancing the host to the 1st level of the nascent soul stage, and cultivation will be hidden through the system. He felt a surge of joy in his heart, thinking, this is great, I've finally completed the mission. All his efforts were rewarded, and he was overjoyed. Finally, I'm no longer a worthless person who can't cultivate. I'm thrilled that from now on, I won't have to rely on anyone else for my fate. The feeling of controlling my own destiny is simply amazing. Staring at the system in front of him, Doc Lang couldn't help but marvel. This system can even conceal my cultivation? It's so humanized. From now on, no one will be able to trample me underfoot. A creaking sound echoed as the door opened, and someone stepped inside. A girl with platinum hair entered. Doc Lang looked at her and asked with concern, wife, it's so late. Why haven't you rested yet? Qilin hesitated, stammering, today I've made significant progress. I think I should consolidate my cultivation tonight. Suddenly, her attitude flipped 180 degrees. Boldly grabbing the hem of her clothes, she blushed and said, alright, let's begin. Qilin immediately pushed him onto the bed, fumbling with his shirt. Doc Lang, confused as she pushed him onto the bed, suddenly saw 2 figures enter. They both said in unison, wait. Hearing this, they both turned around. Qilin looked slightly irritated, as if she'd missed a good opportunity. It was Deng Ho and Dong Mi, their hands intertwined, their faces flushed. Shyly, they said, we also want to consolidate our cultivation. Can we join you? Doc Lang was surprised at their words, his face turning red. He wondered what was going on. Could this be related to consuming too many dragon and tiger essences? But looking at the beauties before him, he couldn't lie to himself and thought, it doesn't seem so bad. At this point, Qilin, Dong Mi, and Deng Ho all looked at him with eager eyes, their cheeks blushing. Seeing their expectant faces, he became flustered, reaching out his hand and asking, "Why are you all here?" Mo Dong-ho shyly brushed her bangs and, slightly hesitant, said, "It's fine, Sixth Prince, I willingly agree." Watching the beautiful women approaching him, Doc Lang felt a bit panicked. He cursed himself, wondering why he had supported this pay-later business. What was bound to happen happened. The door slammed shut, leaving behind only the shadows of pleasure inside the room. After a night had passed, the next morning, all three women woke up looking refreshed, their faces glowing with vitality. Only Doc Lang, worn out after the entire night, lay in the corner, exhausted. He cursed inwardly. How do I feel even more tired after resting for a whole night? Suddenly, Jilin turned around and said to Doc Lang, "I want to go to the second level to retrieve the magical artifact." He immediately sat up, thinking, how could I not know about a magical artifact on the second level? He guessed that this must be the nine-tailed fox's intention within the Ling Lung ring. Though he thought that, outwardly, he still happily agreed with her. "All right, wife, you lead the way." Jilin smiled upon hearing his reply. At the entrance to the second level of the Underworld Palace, Jilin led Doc Lang and the group through a hidden door within the cave. As soon as they passed through the door, Doc Lang was stunned. This is the second level of the Underworld Palace? At that moment, they all passed through the door, each one surprised to find themselves standing on a high cliff, surrounded by mist. Jilin led everyone along a path formed by many cliffs. Unable to hold back his curiosity, Doc Lang asked, "What's with this mist?" She nonchalantly told him to ignore it. "I can sense the magical artifact nearby." But he couldn't overlook the mist. Looking at Dong Mi, dressed seductively and rushing toward him, he blushed, his nose nearly bleeding. He sighed. But why do I feel like this illusion technique isn't that simple? At that moment, the system's notification sounded again. The illusion spell of the fox demon only affects males. Hearing the system's announcement, Doc Lang smirked and looked at the beauties surrounding him. "All right, it seems that this trial is only for me to enjoy. Wife, leave me be, go ahead and continue." Jilin, Dong-hoa, and Dong Mi fell silent, full of questions. Ahead of them, a radiant formation appeared, guarded by three women. The four of them immediately approached. At this moment, a voice reminded Jilin. It was the voice of the fox demon. "These people were once my followers. You can take the magical artifact, but spare them." Then she sternly warned the three fox demon women ahead, "Leave this place immediately, or don't blame me for being ruthless." Jilin was surprised and asked, "Your followers, is it really them?" At the same time, at the entrance to the second level, a young man and a girl arrived, facing three other disciples guarding the gate. One of them clasped his hands and respectfully said, "Senior brother, you've finally arrived." The two behind him smirked. Lang Trite greeted them calmly, explaining, "Yes, there was something on the way." Tinoyet, standing beside him, asked, "Lang Trite, are we here too?" Hearing her question, he turned and smiled, explaining, "Don't worry, Noyet ni. Actually, aside from cultivation training, the purpose of this trip to the Underworld Palace is to take this opportunity to reach the deepest part of the third level. It's said that there, we can obtain the supreme inheritance of our ancestor, Tan Nak Lin Van Sect." Lang Trite turned to introduce the three fellow disciples in front of them to her. "These are our inner disciples. The third level is extremely dangerous, so having them along will help along the way." One of them snorted after hearing this. "We don't have the same bright prospects as you, senior brother, and we have no interest in the ancestors' inheritance." The other quickly chimed in, "Just don't forget us when you succeed, senior brother." Then, they looked at Tinoyet and teased, "I still want to drink wine for days and marry a beautiful wife." Embarrassed by their teasing, she blushed deeply. In the deepest part of the first level of the Underworld Palace, a girl, her clothes torn and disheveled, hurriedly ran out. Behind her was a seriously injured young man, groaning in pain. Sister, sister, ah." So Chantian, looking at the girl running ahead, wearily called out, "Ah, sister, slow down a bit, you're killing me." "Brother, bear with it a little longer, we're almost there, almost there." "I can see the second prince and his men," she replied. So Duong quickly pulled her brother toward the group ahead. At that moment, the guards surrounding the second prince noticed the approaching strangers and asked warily, "Who are you?" Seeing the girl ahead looked familiar, Mok Nok ordered his soldiers to lower their weapons. So Duong, recognizing him, shouted joyfully, "Your Highness, second prince." In her haste, she twisted her ankle as she ran, barely able to let out a cry of "Aya." After the accidental slip, she fell toward the second prince, who quickly caught her. Their eyes met, and they gazed deeply into each other's eyes. The atmosphere around them immediately became romantic, leaving space only for the affection in their gaze. Realizing their position was a bit inappropriate, both blushed and averted their eyes. The second prince, recognizing her, asked in surprise, "So Duong, so Chantian?" Su Chantian looked at the two who were entangled in front of him, and only now remembered that he was lying on the ground. He shouted, "Aya, I'm in so much pain I could die." However, he couldn't help but feel contempt, thinking, "A bunch of fools, blinded by beauty and forgetting their friends." The second prince had already helped Su Duong up by this point, holding her hand and asking with concern, "What happened to you? How did you get so badly injured?" "I warned you before that the ghostly underground palace is extremely dangerous, and told you not to venture deep into it recklessly." Su Chantian, writhing in pain on the ground, thought to himself, "We can't tell the second prince that we entered the underground palace of our own accord. Damn Mac Doc Lang, he's the one who made me end up in this wretched state. In his mind, the confident image of Doc Lang appeared, making him angrier the more he thought about it. He made up his mind. I have to make sure he's utterly destroyed. It's better to pin all the blame on him. After making this decision, Su Chantian quickly defended himself to the second prince. No, your highness, my sister and I were merely training in the underground palace. Unexpectedly, we ran into Mac Doc Lang and his ghost clan wife. They brought demonic beasts to attack us. As if that wasn't enough, he dragged his heavily wounded body over here. Look at me now. I'm in such agony that I wish I were dead. Hearing her brother's words, Su Duong quickly chimed in. That's right. That Mac Doc Lang is truly vicious. She added pitifully, Your Highness, you must help us. My brother's lower body might be completely crippled. When Su Chantian heard the words lower body crippled, he panicked and quickly covered his groin with his hand. Upon hearing this, the second prince's face immediately darkened, and he angrily said, What? Mac Doc Lang has also entered the underground palace. And to think he would do something like this. Mac Nok waved his hand to reassure them. Don't worry, I'll make sure justice is done. He then ordered the soldiers beside him, take them out of the underground palace and give them proper treatment. His spirit aflame, he thought, Mac Doc Lang, don't think that just because you have that fox spirit, you can do whatever you want. Once the ghostly underground palace closes, I will certainly report to my father and mother to strip you of your title as prince. In stark contrast to the tense atmosphere over there, Dong Mi, Chi Lin, and Deng Ho were all smiles and seemed quite cheerful. A girl with flushed cheeks panted heavily. She was tied up in midair by a rope, shouting in embarrassment. Annoying. Next to her, a fox spirit with green hair was also bound and struggling, shouting, Let us go. Doc Lang couldn't help but admire these women. It seemed that after their cultivation had advanced significantly, these fox demons were no longer their match. But looking at the seductive women tied up in front of him, he couldn't help but be mesmerized and wondered, where on earth did they learn such bondage techniques? At that moment, Shilin soared into the air, closed her eyes, and felt the powerful energy surging within her body. She reached out, attempting to touch the treasure in front of her. As her hand touched the magical artifact, the voice of the fox spirit rang out, reminding her, Young one, this is the Nok 55 magical artifact, a personal item of mine from the past. It can significantly speed up your cultivation progress. The spirit added that it also had healing properties and could greatly accelerate recovery from injuries. For now, I'll let you use it, but you must figure out how to collect more yin energy for me. Upon hearing the words yin energy, Qilin shot a sharp glance at Doc Lang. Startled by her sudden gaze, Doc Lang became somewhat frightened. Feeling awkward under her stare, he thought nervously, why did my wife just give me such a strange look? To her, he seemed like a walking machine for generating yin energy. After Qilin obtained the magical artifact, the group continued deeper into the second level. Standing on a cliff, they suddenly heard a series of chirping sounds. Hearing this, Doc Lang immediately warned everyone, there's movement, be on guard. Above them, a swarm of bats had just awakened. He thought to himself, as expected, now that we've reached the second level, the number of demonic beasts has noticeably increased. Frowning at the bats hovering overhead, he thought, but this is a good opportunity to test my current cultivation level. Before he could act, Deng Hoa and Qilin had already leaped forward, attacking the bats. The two of them moved like lightning, quickly eliminating more than half of the swarm. Seeing how fiercely they were fighting, Doc Lang waved his hand and shouted to let them know, you can handle these small fry. He smiled, thinking to himself. Next, he approached the Golden Bat King. Casting a spell, Doc Lang thought, I'll take on the strongest one in the group. At that moment, the giant bat swiftly flew toward Doc Lang. Standing tall, he felt its demonic energy and thought, judging by the aura coming from this Golden Bat King, its strength is likely at the peak of the hard movement stage. Furrowing his brow, he pondered his strategy. I'll use my own strength at the 5th level of the hard movement stage and see if I can fully unleash my cultivation without relying on the system's tools. With that thought, Doc Lang immediately leaped forward. He unleashed a powerful attack toward the Bat King. However, the bat dodged behind him with incredible speed, catching Doc Lang off guard. The golden bat quickly swung its hammer, delivering a heavy blow to him. Doc Lang screamed in pain. He was sent flying by the force of the strike. At that moment, the Bat King charged at him again. After taking such a hit, Doc Lang no longer underestimated his opponent. He muttered, that was dangerous. Looks like I'll have to get serious now. Confidently, Doc Lang thought, I've read plenty of cultivation novels. Especially the techniques from Ta Nok Lin Van Sect in this novel. I remember them very clearly. Just then, a deafening roar echoed as the Bat King advanced. Despite its cry, Doc Lang stood unshaken, showing no fear at all. Qilin shouted in concern, danger! But Doc Lang seemed to be playing, easily dodging the streams of energy the bat was hurling at him. As the waves of energy collided, causing an explosion, he swiftly flew up to dodge again. Unfortunately, at that moment, his head hit the ceiling of the cave, and he could only cry out in pain, ouch. Doc Lang fell to the ground with a big bump on his head, rubbing it while lamenting, Aya, that hurts. Seeing him like this, Qilin, Dong Mi, and Deng Ho were speechless. Now regaining his confidence, Doc Lang stood up, dusted himself off, and said, but I've figured out the key now. This will be the last time you ever touch me. Enraged by his words, the bat used its cloud-stepping technique to bring him down. But Doc Lang skillfully dodged all of its ultimate moves, getting closer and closer to the Golden Bat King. The three girls watched in awe, their admiration growing. Dong Mi jumped up excitedly. Master is amazing. Dong Ho blushed and stared intently at him. Only Chi Lin looked contemplative, wondering when Doc Lang had mastered such techniques without her noticing. Seeing that Doc Lang could easily evade all of its attacks, the Golden Bat King grew furious. It let out a roar, emitting a terrifying sound. Doc Lang, unable to counter immediately, stood frozen in surprise. The sound was so intense that both Dong Mi and Dong Ho were in pain, clutching their heads in place. Chi Lin quickly raised a barrier, explaining, "This is a sound spirit attack. My defensive shield can block it, just stay still." The Golden Bat seized the opportunity, lunging toward Doc Lang. Watching the bat charge at him aggressively, Doc Lang figured it was getting desperate, and a stronger attack was probably coming. Frowning, he thought, "I can't keep dodging forever. Let's take it down head-on." With that thought, he summoned 9 swords behind him, known as the 9 Nether Profound Swords. Under Doc Lang's command, the 9 swords immediately attacked the Golden Bat, which let out a furious screech. There was a loud explosion, sending dust flying everywhere. Doc Lang emerged from the smoke, having sent the Golden Bat flying, its body shattered into pieces. He held its demon core in his hand and happily thought, "This demon core of the Golden Bat King should boost my spiritual power a bit when I consume it." After witnessing this, Chi Lin couldn't help but gaze at Doc Lang in suspicion. She thought to herself, he clearly has cultivation power, and his moves just now seemed like he was rapidly growing stronger in battle. The more she thought about it, the more curious she became. Could he have a natural talent equal to mine? "Mac Doc Lang, you're becoming more and more of an enigma to me." Contrary to her frowning expression, Dong Ho beside her had bright eyes, gazing at him with infatuation, thinking, wasn't it said that the Sixth Prince had a constitution that prevented cultivation? Who knew he had such prowess? What now? He seems even more alluring. At that moment, he suddenly looked over at the women and said, "There is still some time before the dungeon closes, so we don't need to rush ahead. Let's stay on the 2nd level to gradually increase our cultivation, and then proceed to the 3rd level when it's not too late." He then turned to call out to Chi Lin, "Hey." She looked at him, confused, and responded, "What is it?" She noticed the demon core he had just taken from Kim Dong being offered to her, and was astonished. He winked at her and said, "Good things should, of course, go to my wife first." Hearing this, her face flushed red, and she stammered, "Thank you." At that moment, the system's notification rang out, "Eliminate the 3 evil cultivators from the Sun sect hiding on the 2nd level. Mission reward, favorability increase card, which can raise Chi Lin's favorability by 10 points. He was surprised, 10 points of favorability. Upon hearing that, he glanced at the shy Chi Lin beside him, thinking, it seems this mission is a must. Chi Lin raised the shining demon core in her hand. A golden aura quickly enveloped her body. Chi Lin sat still, swiftly absorbing the energy and channeling it through her meridians. Feeling the energy gradually entering her body, she frowned, thinking, this demon core's power is too hot as it integrates into my body, like the fire disaster from back then. At that moment, memories of that day flashed in her mind. Chi Lin, still a child, had run home only to be greeted by the sight of her house burned to the ground, her entire family beheaded by bandits. She had rushed to her grandfather's side, a sword impaled in his chest, but he still struggled to call her name, urging her, "Lin Ni, you must live well, no matter what." Before he could finish speaking, he passed away. Reflecting on those years, she scorned the so-called righteous cultivators who claimed to be emissaries of justice but instead burned and looted in their own homeland. If not for her father's quick thinking and hiding a treasure that could conceal all the demonic tribes. Aura on her. Pausing for a moment, those tragic images replayed in her mind, when her entire tribe was wiped out, leaving her alone, weeping on their gravestones. She thought, I should have been killed like the others in my tribe. How am I even alive today? So, I must continue to grow stronger, and then I will avenge them, and I will fix this twisted world. Outside, seeing Chi Lin's darkened expression, Doc Lang worriedly called out, "Wife?" He called again, and finally, she opened her eyes to look at him, her eyes still brimming with tears. Seeing her like that, he thought, she must have remembered something unpleasant. Doc Lang coughed twice, trying to dispel the awkward atmosphere. He smiled and said to everyone, "Let's all stay here to cultivate for a bit. I still have some matters to attend to, so I need to step away for a while." He smiled at Dong Ni, who was standing next to Chi Lin at the time, and said, "Dong Ni, take good care of my wife and Miss Mo Dong Hua." Dong Ni cheerfully replied, "Understood." Chi Lin, who was in the midst of cultivation, frowned upon hearing this, wondering where he intended to go. Doc Lang passed by several fixed pillars in the cave. Just then, the system's notification rang out again, announcing the mission to eliminate the 3 evil cultivators from the Sun sect who had sneaked into the 2nd level. The reward was a favorability increase card, which could raise Chi Lin's favorability by 10 points. Doc Lang pondered, "Then Sun sect, this underworld dungeon is truly attracting many cultivators from major sects. I recall that there are a total of 6 major cultivation sects in the Lan-Xian continent. They are the Tan Nak Lin Ban sect, Then Sun sect, Tien Nguyen sect, Tien Cuc sect, Tu Hien Divine Palace, and Daptin Sect. Among them, Tan Nak Lin Ban Sect has been the strongest sect since ancient times. In recent years, Tan Nak Lin Ban Sect, as the leader of the 6 major sects, formed an alliance to protect humanity and oppose the demon and ghost tribes. After the great war between the 3 tribes, human, demon, and ghost, the ghost tribe was sealed by powerful cultivators, leaving the human and demon tribes to face off. Doc Lang mused. In the original text, it was indeed mentioned that some cultivators from the Tian sect had fallen into the demonic path, doing unspeakable things in the underworld dungeon, but they hadn't yet stirred up any major trouble. But with such rich mission rewards, of course, evil must be eradicated, he thought, suddenly feeling eager. However, the original text had very few descriptions of them, but I roughly know where they are at this moment. Thinking this, he rushed forward. At this moment, on a cliff, a giant octopus was attacking 2 young women. Its tentacles stroked the red-haired girl, and the girl beside her worriedly reminded, "Nu Noyet, be careful, this monster is too strong." Suddenly, another tentacle reached out. It wrapped around the blue-haired girl, who cried out, "Ah!" Over here, the girl named Nu Noyet was also caught. She realized it was trying to drain her spiritual energy. The shameless octopus even said, "Delicious, I still want more, I still want," laughing disgustingly. Infuriated, Nu Noyet thought, "Cursed monster." She jerked her hand free from its tentacles. Then, unexpectedly, she lunged forward, unleashing an unimaginable burst of power, slashing at the octopus before her, angrily shouting, "Die!" The octopus screeched in agony after being struck. After the attack, Nu Noyet hugged the girl beside her and gently asked, "Nu Tuet, are you alright?" Nu Tuet responded, "I'm fine, but it drained quite a bit of my spiritual energy earlier." At that moment, on the cliff opposite the 2 girls, 3 figures appeared. One of them commanded, "The time is ripe, get ready to strike." Doc Lang hid below, observing the entire situation. Hearing them, he suddenly understood, so these 3 evil cultivators were waiting to pick up the spoils. At the same time, he resolved, "This time, I'll make you understand the lesson of seeking short-term gains and forgetting long-term consequences." The 3 evil cultivators then appeared in front of the 2 girls.